Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about our next potential upcoming snowstorm. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting store in the description and in the pinned comment down below, and then also our very awesome Patreon page in the same location. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, when do you think the pattern is going to become active again? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, before I get into things, I wanted to make a little disclaimer about my content. Now, you might have noticed that over the past, I would say about a week or so, we've been talking about a lot more of longer range topics. The reason for this is because the pattern is so quiet and so boring in the short range that I have to look further ahead. Now, what I do is I do these model updates, these model guidance updates, because that's all the information we have that far out. And what I try to do in the thumbnails and the titles, as you might have noticed, is litter it with a ton of question marks. I try to make it as obvious as possible that this is just a potential event and not something that I'm saying is a sure thing to happen. So I want to make that clear. A lot of people get confused about that. Anyway, sorry for that long disclaimer. I just wanted to get that off my chest because I've seen tons of people getting confused about that. Let's take a look at the GFS model first, and notice there was a ton of question marks in the thumbnails. That's because this is a potential snowstorm, and it's the only one we see in the foreseeable future for a lot of regions here in the United States. So we're starting things out on Saturday, January 23rd, so yes, we are looking quite far ahead, and nothing is there, but by the time we move on towards about very late on the 23rd, that snowstorm does begin to develop in eastern Colorado, and we do see moderate to heavy snowfall to the north of that location. This could change. This could be further north or further south, or weaker or stronger, but at this point, this is what the models are showing. What we're going to do is we're going to move on in just a moment and just move through with the GFS. We're going to take a look at the Canadian model, the European model, and then also the GFS ensemble model and the European ensemble model. Take a look at all of their total snowfall forecasts, and then we're going to close out the video. All right, now here we are taking a look at about, I would say this is about 3 or 4 a.m. here on Monday, January 25th, and it looks like it's curving further north and really just moving out, but what we're going to see is a secondary low is going to develop south of there, and the GFS is one of the more northern-based models out of all of these, so the people in the Ohio Valley, you might have noticed I had that, color shading over your region. That's because there is some models on board. Again, this is a potential event, so not everybody within the thumbnail region is going to be involved. The thumbnail just includes everybody that could potentially be involved. So it's not going to cover all of those regions, but somewhere within there is going to be where the impacts would be. As you can see, a low pressure center moves offshore, kind of like a Miller B nor'easter here of New England. And we do see moderate to heavy snowfall there for those New England states by the time we're reaching later on the 25th. And as we reach even towards into the afternoon of the 26th, you can see it's still bringing snowfall there to Maine and surrounding regions. All right, so we saw what the GFS showed further north. The location isn't going to be as confident this far out. We're more paying attention to intensity because we've been tracking this storm for a few days. The models have been consistent with it. The confidence is increasing, but that location and intensity has a huge potential to change a lot. That's what we see in this range, and that's kind of the risk of talking about it this far out, but that's what my channel was literally built upon, is talking about the things that the mainstream weather sources will not, which is these potential events. My motto has always been that we go over every possibility so you never get caught off guard. That has kind of been my motto throughout this entire YouTube journey there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and take a look at that Canadian model, and then after that we're going to take a look at the European model as well. And then, like I said, we're going to get into the total snowfall guidance from all of these models as well. So all of that is coming up in just a moment. So we're starting things out here with our Canadian model, and this is by about 1 p.m. there on Saturday the 23rd. So late next week is really when we're generally seeing this one start up. You can see for the plains, we see plenty of snowfall for the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas. So this one's a little further south, but again, you're not going to want to pay too much attention to the location because really it can change so much within this time frame. The fact of the matter is all the models are showing a storm, and that's basically the best we can ask for. If they're all showing a storm, and they have been showing a storm for multiple runs, that's what's going to increase my confidence, and that's probably what should increase your confidence as well. We're probably just going to end up talking about this storm for every single day until it happens, just because there's pretty much nothing else to talk about. And I apologize for the people that are not interested at all, but really we are in a quiet and boring pattern. It is going to get cold, but there's going to be no storms during that cold, well, except for this one potentially. So it's really just a difficult pattern to make videos on for somebody like me. Let's just move this forward to about 7 a.m. there on Monday, January 25th. And as you can see, that moderate to heavy snowfall does move in there to the Great Lakes regions. We do see some freezing rain potentially, or some mixing going on for the Ohio Valley. Again, wintry precipitation is generally possible there. That's why I put it in the thumbnail. Some of these models are further south, further north, and even in previous runs, they've been further south than they are now, or further north. And then as we move this forward towards about, I'd say 3 p.m. there on Tuesday, January 26th, you can see that this one is a bit further south for that region as well. We see Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and southern New England getting in on a lot of that moderate to heavy snowfall there. But again, this location is going to change 100 times before that happens, so we're going to be tracking this one closely. The fact of the matter is they all have a very similar storm, and that's kind of what's increasing my confidence at this point. This is by about 3 a.m. on Wednesday, and you can see it's pretty much moved out by that point. What we're going to do here is we're going to move on and take a look at that European model quickly, and then we're going to get into the total snowfall guidance according to all of these models as well. All right, now here we are taking a look at that European model, and we're starting out at about, I would say 7 p.m., there on Saturday, January 23rd. And as you can see, there's a bit of snowfall starting out for the upper Midwest there. And what's interesting is this one gets kind of off to a different start. That low pressure center is located pretty much over Oklahoma. And you can just tell the tilt is very different. And that just goes to show how different these models are still at this point with the trajectory and just the dynamics of this storm. But still, they all show it. So that's basically where we're at. That's the only thing we're feeling moderately confident in, is that there is likely going to be a storm. Not even guaranteed still. We're still a few days from that, obviously. But it is likely at this point. But that shape, trajectory, temperature, intensity, those are all the things that have a lot of wiggle room at this point. As we move towards about 7 a.m. there on Tuesday, January 26th, you can see that we see moderate to heavy snowfall there for Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan. The low pressure center is located over Ohio, but like I said, there's plenty of room for this to go much further south or further north. We've seen that all winter so far, that these models have really just gotten the path and the location just really wrong. So that's why I made such a wide range with those color shades on the thumbnail, because the potential for this to move around is just great at this point. Let's just take a look at that frame at about maybe 1 a.m. here on Wednesday, January 27th. And then we see this move off as a Miller B nor'easter, mostly just northern New England according to that model. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and just take a look at the total snowfall map according to the GFS, Canadian model, and the European model as well, all coming up in just a moment. All right, now here we are taking a look at the GFS model, and as you can see, anywhere in the grays, we're taking a look at about a dusting, if anything. So if you are in those gray shades, that's what this model is showing. Again, you're going to want to take it with a grain of salt. This location could change greatly, and the amounts could change greatly as well. But for now, we're just kind of taking a look at the model guidance, a very preliminary look at that model guidance at this point. Handle it responsibly. It is kind of a lower probability since we're looking further out. I just want to make that disclaimer very clear. In the blues, we're taking a look at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. Within those purple shades, we're taking a look at about 6 to 10 inches of snow. Within the pinks, we're taking a look at about 10 to 20 inches of snow. And we see kind of the maximum around the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and then also upstate New York, and then in between New Hampshire and Maine as well, according to that model. All right, let's take a look at that Canadian model. And as you can see, the amounts are much lower, but it's much more widespread. So that might be what you've noticed here compared to the GFS. The GFS is a much more potent, but much tighter storm. The Canadian is a much looser storm with snow all over the place, but just not really getting those 10 to 20 inch amounts anywhere really for the most part. So that's the biggest difference there that I've noticed. And then with our European model, you can see it's a lot more like the GFS model, except maybe even higher amounts there. You can see for Iowa, we're seeing a lot in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and through Michigan. This region in particular, I've been getting a lot of comments from people from this region saying it hasn't been cold, we haven't gotten any snow. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed for you guys. This is nothing guaranteed. Again, this is just a model guidance update. None of this is actually my forecast. I'm actually just getting these maps literally from computer models. I'm hoping you guys will get your snow, but I want you guys to take this with a grain of salt as well so we don't get our hopes up or anything like that. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, when do you think we will see our next major snowstorm? And Zeta Derv said the next major snowstorm will probably happen sometime next week. And if this one does play out that way, then I think Zeta Derv will be correct. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Sebastian Tao, John Benbenek, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis. Alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, Mark J., and Luke Vallejo. If you would like to be on this Patreon end screen, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.